Um, we, I guess, we're as traditionally a little bit late. We're 5 minutes into the schedule. Are we waiting for someone?
Да, можно уже начинать.
We can start, right? Yes, dear colleagues. We have a very interesting session now. When we planned it, we looked to the looked for an advice to the Internet Initiatives Development Fund, IIDF. They think a lot about transformation of the internet. They are quite practical people. It was established 11 years ago. The fund was established 11 years ago, and I'm not exaggerating. They created the subculture for the internet startup development. They pushed a lot of legislative initiatives, and we're talking about the legislative sector field. They have a training program, which is quite efficient, and they also organize or help organize accelerators and trackers. If for those of you who are aware of the term. So they keep on working efficiently and successfully. Our moderator is Kirill Varlamov, who is director of the Internet Initiatives Development Fund, and he is actually the founder of the IIDF. I'm just a speaker today. I'm not a moderator. Well, thank you, Azat, for inviting me over. It's a great honor for me to be here and to welcome all the participants, the speakers. Good afternoon. So let me introduce the panelists here. I am director of the IIDF, the Internet Initiatives Development Fund. I think you already gave a brief introduction into our activity, into what we do. So Azat Khalilovich has for years been chair and member of the fund, our fund, and for 11 years he's been actively engaged in actually helping us develop the internet market in the Russian Federation, which we're really thankful for. And let me introduce the participants. Like I said, Amar Alesi, who's CEO of Fractal Accelerator. Pigin. Nikolai is the general director of Atom. Anton Subchev is managing director of Gostech, business program of Sberbank. Anna Chunina, she's deputy director of innovation agency of Moscow, the city of Moscow. Let's see, Innopolis director. Renat Khalimov is the general director of Innopolis. And Kumali is CEO of Kumala Logistics Transit Center. A brief introduction into what we do. When we discussed with Azat, we discussed the topic of today's discussion. We wanted to make it a dynamic, an engaging panel discussion. So we put forth we anticipate to have a discussion that we have been planning for a while now. And it sounds as follows. The world is changing, and prior to 2022, everyone was used to the term globalization. Everyone was used to a relatively free and unhampered shift towards the Anglo-Saxon world, predominantly Anglo-Saxon world. Today, the political and economic blocs emerge. At least we know of 3 to 4 international clusters, political clusters, as well as, of course, technology and economic clusters. At the same time, the baseline problem, the fundamental problem of technology transfer is here to stay, is here with us. It's not resolved, and the demand for innovations and the demand for technology transfer is an ever-growing phenomenon. The economy is ever more reliant on technologies, and countries that are able to absorb and use and leverage such technologies will benefit at the end of the day. What we would like to discuss today is generally technology transfer as per se, and a technology hub as one of the options for the implementation of such a technology transfer. I'd like to give the floor back to Azat Halilovic, who will talk more in more detail about this technology transfer concept. Could you launch the presentation, please?
Это как дежурная шутка просто. У нас третья площадка идет. Кликер работает, перерыв 100%, да, Денис?
Yes, you just have to press a button. I'm lagging behind when it comes to technology because I couldn't quite understand how to switch on the clicker. So just like Kirill mentioned, we put together a vision, which was a joint initiative, and I view it as a result of the vision is the invitation to a discussion, and I will go through it from one bullet point to another. If you look at the key takeaways, the world, like Kirill mentioned, began to change in a sense that in the past, what had to do with innovations and technology had to be associated or had to be underpinned by economic and financial institutions of the United States, of the EU countries, and so we had this connection. So the result was that if you're located somewhere else, you could not do it in any way. Now the shift, the geographical shift is a reality, and there's proof, there's evidence to this, because interaction with the Singapore and Germany hubs based on the old economy, so to speak, is not possible now due to the embargoes and sanctions against the Russian Federation. So what do we do about this? This is an invitation, hence, to discuss the situation. So some numbers. The demand for innovation persists. The question is simple. Who needs it? If we look at the global statistics, according to the Global Innovation Index of 2023, the latest report, in last year the R&D grew 5.2%. The largest companies increased their expenses by 15% in 2021, and 2022 by 7.4%, and they allocated $1.1 trillion. We're talking about the market size. This is the maximum number. So companies keep on spending on R&D. Innovative products and services is a long-term strategy of most large corporations. 87% of global companies have their innovative technology strategy. The number of patent applications was 0.3%, which is the slowest growth pace since 2009, when the number of patent applications was at record high of 89,000. Going back, on the one hand, we have growth in the demand for R&D. On the other hand, the patent application size does not keep up, and then the amount of venture investment is down 44% in 2022 versus 2021. 40% reduction is quite a significant slump, but when I talked to Kirill, he said we don't take into account the fact that prior to that year there was yet another slump, another reduction. I think these are very interesting numbers. If you think about it, they show you the structural shift in the market. On the one hand, we have the fundamental demand for innovations, 1 trillion, yes, and it's growing. It's rising. 7% a year is quite a substantial number, substantial rate. Yet we see that this patent application activity and investment activity is going down. So there's some redistribution in the market, and we see that Just like you say, there's this redistribution and disruption of these technology chains. Statistics is something you can hardly argue with. We have disruption in the logistics chains. After the pandemic affected innovative systems. I think there's nothing to debate here. Many companies are now doubling down on innovations. So, in order to understand what we're talking about, at the backbone of innovative activity is what we think is technology transfer. It's a process that enables for the development of new technologies and to convert them into the commercial products, finished products that are useful and that are used by people. I'm talking about the formulation that technology per se is not a subject for a discussion. If technology is developed and it's executed and it's useful and it's in demand, it is what we need to have. But many countries have their own legislation aimed at incentivizing technologies. Singapore, as an example, turned its country into a global hub or technology hub, or the UAE. In the previous panel session, we talked about that. In 2014, they published their innovation strategy, which aimed for turning the country into the innovative hub in the Middle East by creating the regulatory framework to do that. Some of our neighbors in the former Soviet Union countries, Uzbekistan, adopted a 2030 strategy. They allocate huge resources, a lot of funds into the developing the technologies. They want the country to have to move to to move to the higher level of economic development and do so in the short term. So, what is a global technology hub? What are we talking about here? So we elaborated 9 points here, 9 bullet points. One, right. So we have someone here in the room, sitting here from Mauritania. He was interested in this issue. Corporations, many leading companies like BMW, Michelin, Bayer, etc., have advanced programs working with technology and startup technologies, and they will be building their strategies based on that, from scout offices to accelerators together jointly with universities, etc. R&D centers based on local universities, including the IP sharing and industry-wide accelerators and co-workings. Number 4, specialized accelerators to prepare teams for technology transfer or to prepare them for fast growth as tech companies. Special innovative funds, early stage funds, aimed at accelerating development to the hub partners. Although all of you in the hub will be able to download these key points, the takeaways. Number 5, special. We just mentioned it. A network of partner acceleration funds across the world in order to implement the program for entering global markets, expert evaluation, educational program for technology transfers for local universities and entrepreneurs, scaling program, global expansion program for companies to grow them to global companies. We have excellent examples in Singapore, France, Southeastern Asia, etc. These programs will enable us to grow technology champions and to shape global companies when they're still at early stages. Technology park, identification of the demand for innovations, sales markets, innovation, investment promotion. So these 9 points. It's clear that maybe it's not that easy to comprehend when you listen to it, but some things are quite. You just have to assemble certain things together, and this is why it's called a hub. When you assemble things that are somewhat diverse. We have some scientific schools, launching of universities with focus on technologies. I'm not talking about some abstract scientific collaborations. I'm talking about the interaction with Russian universities, Russian R&D centers, post-diploma education, and advanced Russian language courses. This ecosystem should have all the competencies, both the idea of the technology transfer is implemented in the format of global technology hub. This is a physical and this is an online and offline platform that exists in both worlds that enables you to execute competencies for technology transfer in a particular country in partnership with international partners. To put simply, we have to eliminate dependency on a country via these tools. There depends on a country on technology, because it's no secret to anyone that we are being artificially cut off certain technologies to slow down our technology growth and development. Launch process. Here's the result. So the hub owner, the country owning the hub, can have the legal support, the investments, and structuring, and innovations. It's relevant for the technology development, and a country can benefit from its own competencies. Dear colleagues, to put simply, we know the examples. They're not called a hub. Let's say as Silicon Valley in the U.S., there are comparable examples in Europe. These are the growth points that exist. In our country, we do a lot. We attempt to do many things like technology parks, but we're talking about making these efforts a focus, focusing on this, and to concentrate our efforts. And I'd like the results of launching a global hub. I'd like to give you a practical example, citing Abu Dhabi as an example. The hub owning country is an intermediary that provides for the legal support, etc. So the IIDF ran a research among the BRICS countries, the Emirates, Abu Dhabi, and generally UAE, showed many intersecting points. Production of electronic components, digital systems, robotics, machine engineering, new materials, medicine, biotech, education, transportation, airspace technologies, environment. I'd like to, just for discussion, I'd like to emphasize the following. Many believe that technology is associated with IT. Our speaker, we had one speaker who was from Germany, and end of the day, they just changed their mind. And the speaker wanted to talk about 3D printing, and it's a technology, right? So what I just mentioned here, IT, is just one of the components, because if we talk about technologies, there can be all sorts of technologies. So we don't necessarily have to talk about IT. That speaker from Germany unfortunately didn't come because they changed their mind, maybe out of their own due to their own reasoning.
Which enables us to be connected with direct flights to centers of economic activity, creating prerequisites for creating a global investment hub in this point of the world. So geographical position is also of importance. A hub will give possibilities for export of high-tech products, including the products with national participation. Possible indicators of work on the horizon of 10 to 15 years, as exemplified by Abu Dhabi. Several thousand projects per year, dozens of laboratories working with international companies, hundreds of transactions in licensing of technologies per year, up to billion of US dollars, thousands of raised investments, and thousands of investment projects in technological transfer and technological entrepreneurship. There are some steps here which I believe we should leave for the end of our discussion. Yeah, we'll discuss that. We'll discuss this in the end. I think it will be more advisable to do it like this, so as not to spoil our mood. So, summarizing this point, we want to say that it is necessary to have one or maybe 2 points on the map of the world where it would be possible to use the conditions of the emerging multipolar world. It would be quite feasible and for people to exchange technologies, exchange startups, and so on. There are dozens of variants of doing so. There are mutual projects, mutual joint laboratories, spin-off from projects, PAP program which emerge. So it is all possible. As we go along developing one technology, we can have spin-offs from it. And it is quite clear that we have to have some geographical binding. It has to be a point of high concentration of money, investment, highly qualified people. Otherwise, it's not going to work. You cannot create something where nothing is. So I would like to stream our today's discussion based on what Azat Halilovich said. I'm going to ask all the speakers one and the same questions. I know that some of you have prepared their presentations. Nevertheless, even within your presentations, please be so kind as to answer this point, as to focus on this point. How do you see the potential role of your organization? What is the potential of what you are doing in the processes of technological transfer? And what can you contribute to a technological hub on the whole? So I would like to give the floor to Mark Alesi. I understand that you have an accelerator. How, in what way would you be able to take part in this techno hub, and how does it reflect the tasks of technological transfer? What role could you possibly undertake in such an event? Thank you very much. I listened to your vision of a hub with keen interest. It is indeed the direction in which we are growing. Abu Dhabi has this organization called Hub 71. I spent some time there. I looked at their presentations. I talked to its residents. I talked to its management. I got supercharged with this idea, and I felt that I really wanted to be a part of it. And there are some members of our accelerator who participated in that hub, in other hubs in Dubai, in Dubai 5. We learned their experience as well. This is exactly the thing that we want to replicate. That these are the steps that we want to follow. I didn't think that we were going to have this kind of discussion, but here we are. In November, I visited China. I visited Technopark in Hainan and became its resident. They do some amazing things in digital civilization, from global ones to little ones. We brought them to Tatarstan in late April, and we organized a meeting for them with the administration of the Tatarstan Republic. There are a lot of cross points for us. Going back to what our role in this process is, I would say that, yes, we had our first stream, which was more about which was in the cloud technologies, metaverse, artificial intelligence, blockchain, and so on. Our second stream is going to be more down to earth. And we're looking at the acceleration programs that Russia does. We studied the experience of TeamStars. We went through international acceleration programs ourselves. And that expertise is something that we want to implement. We are interacting with Russian Direct Investment Fund, with the administration of BRICS, and we want to get them engaged in this initiative. We believe that this is an important thing to do. Thank you. Our accelerator is online. Our residents are from the Russian language team, which lives in various places of the world, and they are residents in other countries. They open legal entities both in Russia and abroad. And we were initially focused on projects with the Russian-speaking audience. Yeah. After this session is over, it will be interesting for us to continue talking this over. But let's go back to our focus. I'm going to give the floor to Nikolai Anatolievich Pegin and ask him a different question. And the question will be as follows. What difficulties you see, what difficulties you envisage in the modern technology transfer, and what's your attitude to the idea of creating a technological hub as a method to implement the current tasks of technological transfer? And your role in all that. Yes, Kirill, thank you for inviting me to participate in this session. It would seem naturally that the technological hubs and are interesting things. And previous speakers said that it would be so good to have them where there are many people, where there are lots of other elements that would automatically become positive factors for creating such hubs. Okay, I am representing a state corporation, Rosatom, but nevertheless, I'm going to concentrate on small towns and their use in building the total picture of a hub. I'm going to take the Ural Federal District. This is a small ecosystem which was created by the state corporation Rosatom. We were taking the closed administrative territories, which were transformed in the advanced development territories. That happened some 5 years ago. This initial idea was aimed at supporting the urban economy, not from the viewpoint of the budget, but from the viewpoint of the available human resources. This was something that we forget or not take into account. These are the people who have higher education, and they are highly intellectual people. They are highly trained. They are highly professional. As of today, these are 12 small towns. Currently, they have 166 residents, quite a large amount of investments. The towns are small. One of them is approximately, the biggest of them being 100,000 inhabitants, and the smallest being 20 to 30,000 inhabitants. Nevertheless, these small towns become attractive for investors. This is managed by the already existing managing company, of which I am the director. We are basing our services on the federal law number 473. Our first service is regulated by the law itself. Second service was formulated by us as a management company. And service number 3 is the service that we can represent as something that lies within the scope of responsibilities of Rosatom as a state corporation. This slide gives you just a couple of projects and technological, including highly technological objectives. So 4 examples in specific segments. All of them are based on specific R&D activities. The first of them being creation of a multi-purpose center for radiation treatment or sterilization. Number 2 is a trend for an eco park, processing of waste of first and second class of hazard. Quite finance intensive. It would cost approximately $17 billion. Number 3 is creation of highly technological production, small space systems to be based in Krasnoyarsk. And the geography of the project encompasses Chelyabinsk, Krasnoyarsk, Tomsk, and the town of Seversk in the vicinity of Tomsk. The small space systems one of their projects is in the early stage of development, is already in space. Currently, they are focusing on satellite antennae of their own design and their own scientific approaches. This product is already commercialized, and it is currently being mass-produced. Number 4 is the formation of production cycles. I would say this includes high-tech equipment, which is used by the state corporation for its own purposes. So what we have seen so far, or what we have so far, 60% of the total number of residents are high-tech projects. These are not.
So out of all the 17 are based on R&D, research and development. So this is the R&D that is commercialized, and the results are then implemented in various industries. So out of these projects, 14% of all the residents are registered in the integrated purchasing system by Rosatom. Obviously, as of today, our residents.
The volume of procurement exceeds 8 billion, 5.5 billion rubles. The planned term for return on investment is approximately 2 years, and for some projects this term exceeds 1.1 billion rubles. Here on this slide, I'm going to give you some information to the effect that closed towns could become really as venues for international cooperation. So, for example, in Sarov, there is the International Center for Physics and Mathematics. The important thing is that we're talking not only about restricted access areas. All of them have Zone A and Zone B. Zone B is actually an open access area, and it enables us to have in these territories to form technological sites on them using international experience, and to implement projects. Under some conditions, they can be easily implemented. One of our ideas is to make it more practical. We wanted to bind your idea of creating a technological hub to a global territory. Let me go back to the very beginning of my speech, where I said that usually technological hubs entail large cities such as Moscow or Novosibirsk or some others. I'm not even speaking about Abu Dhabi and other worldwide famous sites. But let's take the Sverdlovsk region, the Ural Federal Districts. Here we have 4 advanced development territories there, and there the territory of advanced development is a tool of supporting the startups. So if we are able to connect the startup and the technopark on the territory of advanced development, and the law gives us the possibilities to do so, then the commercialization and marketing of research and development will provide us the required efficiency and the fast pace towards driving the product to the market and turning the idea into business. In my closing slide, I'm going to tell you that, we looked at Yekaterinburg not from the viewpoint of it being a large city with higher educational institutions. Let me focus your attention to the fact that practically in every closed access city in Russia, in every restricted administrative territory of Russia, there are educational institutions which give us specialists of some focused and narrow skills. So in Yekaterinburg, it is possible to create the dry port logistic center. It is there that we would be able to show the transport and logistic communications that will that can be connected in Yekaterinburg. And so the idea of creating a technological hub is matched with this scheme. The large green bubbles are 50 international technological clusters. And so we saw that the logistical connections, the connection of educational and scientific institutions, and the possibility of commercialization without going beyond this cluster, all enable us to suppose that all the conditions to make one of a pilot technological hubs be created in Yekaterinburg as well. Thank you very much. Thank you. It looks like hubs can be done not only in Abu Dhabi, but in your native city as well. I was born in Yekaterinburg. So it looks very interesting indeed. It's not quite clear for me how the transfer of technology will be done there, considering the sanctions. But okay, I'm speaking about friendly countries of Asia as well. What I liked about your presentation was that you seem to have something to offer for global technological transfer. There are some interesting developments in different areas, from satellites to some other areas of activity. I believe it is of interest. Oh, thank you. I suggest we move on and give the floor to our next participant, Anton Alexandrovich Subchev. And I'm going to have basically the same question. What do you think about these processes of global technological transfer? Are they necessary? Do you see some challenges? And how do you see your potential role in this process, if you consider yourself being engaged in the global transfer of technology? Hello, and thank you for your questions. I represent the informational technology sphere, and in technology transfer, we have some special features which concern this specific area. I'm going to answer this question in the end of my presentation, considering what I'm going to tell you before we get to the end. So as I said, I represent IT, and I'm going to tell you about my experience of interacting between Sber and the state in our functioning as a technological partner of the state in developing digital spheres for state information systems. It is an open secret that in today's world, as is the case in business, as is the case in state structures, sometimes the digital channels of communication with consumers of services, with customers, play a pivotal role. In our bank, in Sber, we have paid our undivided attention to it, and we've created a number of systems, our in-house developed systems, that are aimed at automation of internal processes and automation of customer relations. Same thing we can see in other industries, and the state does not stand aside and develops quite a number of state information systems, focusing on the processes between the ministries and departments and the communication with consumers of services and that the state has to provide to its citizens, to its subjects. In a bank, quite a large amount of research and development is done on technology. And the technologies of Sber assist the state to develop new services and information systems, or to translate the existing state information systems to the new technological platform, which is called the Unified State Digital Platform GOSTEC, state technology, based on which the state information systems are developed. Let me delve into the question of what it is. GOSTEC is a brilliant thing. Excuse me for interrupting you. Can you be closer to the topic, please? Closer to the topic of the transfer of technology. can the GovTech platform itself be the basis for the transfer of technology? Can it represent the technology that can be offered to our global partners in Asia, in other regions? Because I think I understand that a number of services such as marking of goods, such as gosuslugi or state services, they are highly useful. They are considered highly effective on global markets. And I know there is a number of projects on cascading these solutions to the global market. Maybe let me simplify my question. Can the platform GovTech become the subject of this technological expert? And how do you see this format? And do you find this interesting?
Sure. So there's specific aspects to it. There are specific aspects to it. So let me explain. The platform itself, GovTech platform, is owned by the Ministry of Digital Technologies, Mincifra, i.e. the state, and the platform is operated by GovTech, which is the federal institution. So when it comes to technology transfer, we are talking about basically the technology at the which is the backbone of this technology. When it comes to GovTech, we're talking mostly about the state, the government. So unfortunately, we cannot be a counterparty, and we cannot transfer the platform per se. And yet, the technologies that Sber offers as a technology platform or the technology foundation, all the way from the infrastructure, platform-based technologies, the IT component, the services relating with data processing, IT-driven data processing, technologies that yield the tools for the conveyor-based production. We can talk about that. We can talk about technology transfer in this aspect in terms of Sber's participation as a technology partner in other areas. So the technologies are proprietary development of Sber, it's called Play4We, and it's a product used by both the bank itself to develop its own services, internal services, and it's used by it's available on the market. So we have external counterparties, our clients. They use this platform. Is it correct to say that you are prepared to at least to export at least some components of this platform? Yes, absolutely. But vice versa, I know that Sber has a demand for a number of technologies. For instance, chips that enable that provide for processing AI-related tasks. I'm sure you're somewhere close to these tasks, right? These challenges at Sber. Is there a need, for example, for searching for such technologies, or maybe is there a need for some investment to develop such technologies that Sber needs it as a consumer on the global to use it on global markets? I'm sure there are. As you realize, obviously, Sber is a huge company, huge institution. We do collaborate with others in terms of AI. It's a huge domain, it's a huge area, which is being developed both inside Sber, and we offer it outside to the market. I am sure we can find crossing points. We can find some synergies, and I'm sure we can talk about this in greater detail. Please continue, or maybe you're finished. I'm not sure. I think there's no point in going into further detail, technical detail. I think I've mentioned the point that at the backbone of this, the backbone is the technologies, and when it comes to technology transfer, it is the developments that Sber has that provide for building modular systems, and they may be the subject for discussion. The platform itself is a set of versatile components From an IT developer standpoint, they provide them to accelerate the work, to reduce the cost of their development. And in addition to this, as of today, the platform provides for an opportunity. It provides developers with a kit of more than 50 standard components. And also, there's opportunity for third-party developers to add their own components if
таких компонентов быть.
if the purpose of such components is to be part of state-owned systems, government-owned systems, for instance, to ensure, let's say, security. Obviously, you need certification by STEC, which is the Russian regulator, but there's also a clear-cut procedure as to how for third-party stakeholders in terms of participating in the systems. Thank you. I'd like to give the floor to Anna Nikolaevna Chunina. Anna is deputy director and head of one of the agencies, one of the leading agencies in the country, called Innovation Agency of the City of Moscow. I'm sure you're well aware of technology transfer and you know how it works. I have the same question to you. Do you see the need, or do you feel the need for the global technology transfer, and what potential threats do you see and opportunities that you see, and what is your role in this? I think this is a very pressing issue. I think I'm greeting anyone in the room, and in fact, we represent the innovative development of the capital of our country. We work closely with companies with the technologies that are able to and willing to export their services. Internally, we have the need to adopt such technologies. A few words about the Innovation Agency of the City of Moscow. We work with 3 key customers, 3 target audiences. The city itself, Moscow is a huge infrastructure. It requires innovations all the time. The city actively adopts, attests, etc. technologies. We have large businesses that come to us asking us to pinpoint and select technologies. We are big fans of such big businesses. They offer their own technologies to us, to the city, and of course startups. Tech startups that join our program to go through attraction from ideation to scaling globally. So we have 3 areas in the block that I am in charge of. You can test your product. It's a pilot testing program. When you realize you're ready to show both to the city and the company and to scale globally, this is where you can come join our testing pilot testing module. So the second one is how we source technologies. We have competitions. We have technology competitions where we gather the best tech solutions in the country, and we have our very own platform. We have a map for innovative solutions. This is a database where we gather all of the solutions from Russia. We have not only IT, we have hardware solutions by division, by area, and we shape such maps. We add new areas. We added assistive technologies last year, which turned out to be poorly developed in the country. We only had 200 startups working in this domain. A few words about technology competitions. We select solutions from both MVP and higher. We work with corporations. Here you see the areas in 2024, i.e. construction technologies, 5G, smart city, medical equipment, robotization, robotics. So these are the areas where we realize that there is a need in the country, and which needs corporate customers have, the city has. And using these areas, in these areas, we select the best solutions available in the country. After such competitions, once we have, let's see, at least 180 finished solutions, we have pilot testing programs. So this program is indeed, is in fact technology transfer per se. We have city level. What is a site? A site is a company that is prepared to take your product and test it and to see how it works. In this program, you have city support, 2 million rubles. If you're a tech company, you test your product at the city site, you can get money for the product to attest, let's say a school or hospital or etc. And so this pilot testing program has a unique mechanics. It is popular now. We have the regions that came to us talking about the technology transfer to regions, RF regions. So last year, international partners joined us. We have 440 solutions that got attested, and we have clear traction, we have clear product. And when we showcased our product, speaking of international transfer of technology, when we showed our products, we have such materials. We spoke with Morocco, Saudi Arabia, Belarus, Kazakhstan, Senegal. Several countries initially agreed to attest, to try and test products. Kazakhstan, for instance, was the one. Saudi Arabia, we negotiated with them for half a year, and now we have two very interesting products that are being reviewed at the purchase stage. And with a number of countries, we work with transfer programs. Belarus took two attestation program. They have an office, pilot office in Belarus, similar to what we have in Moscow. They're testing these products. There's also a number of countries with which we are talking, and hence countries with solutions like this, let's say the Emirates, the UAE, they're also prepared to offer their solutions. Mostly we have cases from CIS countries, from Uzbekistan, where there's a good solution that could be tested at Moscow. So colleagues formed their legal entity in Moscow, and they became a Russian entity with the unique technology, and they transferred it under a license agreement. So this is where we test such a transfer internally. We are in talks with a number of partners. Externally, those who are willing to pilot test Russian technologies. Yet another product, which I'm sure will be useful for technology transfer. We have a unique database of Russian solutions. We have 6,214 such solutions, i.e. 4,100 Russian producers, companies. It's an open source program, so you can get access to it. You can get material for each and every solution. We have traction and understanding per country, per company, per project. We have full traction from entry all the way to the current status, because we keep track of companies. We follow their exports activities, their revenue growth, their growth trends. With part of the companies, we offer them to our partners. We have a strong partnership with the Ministry of Construction. We work under the auspices of the Smart City program. We scale them and cascade them to the regions. We work with the Kaliningrad region. They asked us to do express assessment of one of the projects. Some solutions in Kaliningrad can enter the Moscow market. Moscow is a huge market, so as part of pilot testing, you can test run your product in the Moscow market. It becomes clear as to what opportunities that project has. When it comes to international one, you first have to go through Moscow, because the company is fully tested, because the scoring that the company undergoes is as a total scoring. We check everything, all the way to the team performance. And that traction stays in the system, in the database. And when we go global, when we recommend a certain company in terms of its scaling, transfer, etc., we guarantee that company has been tested by us by each program. There are no issues. I'm not even talking about liquidation, etc. So corporations tend to work with us because we guarantee certain, let's say, purity, certain high performance of this work. So the idea to create a technology hub is a great idea. It's an excellent idea. It's very timely, and we're ready to join you as a partner. If you're interested, of course. I'm sure I'll have in the next question.
Попозже. Ну, то есть...
Summing up, I think you're a hub of your own, maybe a smaller scale, but on a global scale, maybe you're relatively small, but still relatively large by the Russian standards. And so, in this light, I believe you have every interest to import, to export startup technologies, including Moscow, the city of Moscow, where you can obviously act as an interface for cooperation with other tech companies globally. That's correct. It's a very good context. Thank you very much.
зачем-то себе отключил. Хотел бы передать слово...
I'd like to give the floor to Rinat Halimov. Your role is quite clear in terms of being a hub. So Rinat is General Director of Innopolis. Do you see the need? Same question. Do you see the need for a global scale international technology transfer? What issues, what problems do you have in this regard, and what is your role or potential role in such technology transfer? Or maybe you have everything internally, locally, and you don't really need any technology transfer. Well, thank you for the questions and for Rinat for your presentation. The idea of a hub, I'm not quite positive if it's a geography-based topic to be discussed just in Russia, or are we talking geographically about some other location? Well, we talked about an international hub, and as that mentioned, I heard the UAE, Abu Dhabi is a potential hub. Well, why are we talking about the international hub? And Abu Dhabi is an interesting hub location, a site. Well, we need a neutral site, a neutral country that would be friendly with everyone involved. We require geographical convenience, proximity, transportation, ease of transportation, as well as a political will, as well as the funding required, money required to establish such a fund. If we put together all these requirements, then maybe we will end up with only a handful of such sites. Okay, so I heard you right. So let me share a few words about. Let me say a few words about our Innopolis. We have a new highway, M12. So 45-minute. It's a 45-minute drive, and you will end up in this beautiful, innovative hub, which is devoted to both software and hardware development. Some numbers: we have around 10,000 people. So considering the remote, taking into account remote or hybrid operating mode, work mode, we have about 5,000. The Innopolis has over 400 companies registered in Innopolis. We have the total of over 3,000 companies that we work with in the capacity of accelerators, VCs, and other institutions that we actively work with the Moscow Innovative Cluster. I always like to listen to their presentations because they're cool. They have the funds and the ability and the energy, the drive to implement their plans. Like IT solution export is something we are also thinking of course. We do this via MEEC, and we do it very well and efficiently. So three key components that I can talk about. It's the urban infrastructure, urban environment. Any hub is, in fact, we heard of 9 points. Three are of utmost importance. Of course, the environment for a person to obviously that environment must be safe, secure, comfortable, convenient, etc. It should have ample opportunities for human development, i.e., leisure, sports, social issues, etc. Second issue is business opportunities. I represent a special economic zone, and we're all about this: business infrastructure, industrial infrastructure, tax incentives, operations, investments in company, and whatever has to do with real world business. And number three is HR, people. We have Innopolis University, which is the first of a kind in Russia, IT related. It's aimed at training experts or specialists, which is a pain point for many. And of course, engagement of or hiring the right staff or customized staff. We have over 600 patents, and the key idea of the hub is to transfer technologies, but also what is topical is reverse engineering for us in order to devise how to substitute solutions that have left. They're no longer available in the country. We had a funny story in a golf club all of the Gulf cars were cut off because the software, got switched off, and the university was able to hack into it. And 2 months down the road, we had our very own proprietary software. We learned later on that it was the problem of all of the other golf clubs in the country. So then we were able to commercialize this. Substitution of underwear robots by Schlumberger that also left the country. Russia. It was yet another standalone R&D project. It has over 10,000 billion of commercial revenue, and it's self-financed by now. All the same, we still are able to train our students, IT students. I think it's a hub in a way. So what thoughts do I have? What do I think about global hubs? Well, first and foremost, I think they should be specialized by cluster. You cannot have a versatile hub for just about everything. Well, there's a petrochemical hub, because in Tatarstan there are many companies in this area. We have innovative technologies in petrochemicals, so we can take on this global role. Zelenograd is all about microelectronics. Rosatom also said that they have their own thing. I have nuclear power, for example, nuclear engineering, airspace, for example. You should look into clusters with, let's say, historical specialization in certain areas. And this is where I think you should allocate your resources. I'm positive that these hubs should be developed in Russia, not elsewhere abroad, because geopolitics is an ever-changing field. When we discussed this a few years ago, we had several representative offices in Europe, in EU countries. Skolkovo was active in that direction, but no one had expected what would happen. There's no guarantee that something like that may happen in the future with other countries. Of course, we're aimed at working with friendly countries. It's true, it's good, and it's fair. But I think we should develop global integration, cooperation with powerful hubs. In the UAE, you have AI-focused hubs. You have a Moscow innovative cluster with many companies engaged in AI, which is fine. So let's make friends. Let's exchange expertise. But we should create competencies and retain them. Each and every country fights for its own story, fights for its own technology, and no one is willing to give it away. So the only way to transfer technologies is a commercial base, is to do it on a commercial base. When you create a unique technology, you sell it for use, obviously a fee-based transfer. This is what we do in the petrochemicals, microelectronics, etc. If our counterparties don't have it, or if it's expensive for them to do so, and in this case, well, no one does it free of charge, and we see that no university can give it to it. It's not feasible, and it's not realistic. Whenever you end up talking about transfer, everyone tends to protect their own IP, intellectual properties. So I think to devise a hub, to create a hub is a great idea. It's a reasonable idea. You don't have to have many hubs, as we did with like 56 special economic zones, and now 14 of them are operational. I think you have to have them broken down by cluster, by people, with the right people, with infrastructure. Obviously, to build a city from scratch is extremely expensive for a country. We are the only city in the post-Soviet space that was built from scratch. We're talking about a lot of money, a huge investment. So we should have infrastructure in place. You mentioned Singapore. I've been there. It's based on a city. They had 4 major universities, plus businesses around it, and that's it. That's your infrastructure, and that's the backbone. And using their port, they export, they make money by it, they commercialize it. Of course, you need state support, you need government support initiatives. Singapore has it, Hong Kong has it with their science parks, Shenzhen, you name it. So any country does it. Every country does it. So they have grant support, they have tax incentives, tax breaks. You should not only do it as part of Moscow, but you should do it as part of clusters across the country. Moscow obviously cannot grasp everything. It cannot take up everyone. So in order to get to get support from Moscow, you have to be legally registered in Moscow. So companies, I think, should stay in a region. We have 89 regions, and they should stay there. Let's identify 10 to 15 powerful companies or potential companies, and to focus. We should focus the government support on these companies. There's a lot to do. Very few is done when it comes to IT exports. IT is left behind. Is left behind because, and indeed, it's what we should focus on. There's no problems with logistics or everything. There's no logistics in IT. You set up a representative office and you sell, or branches globally, and you sell it there. It's expensive for a company or a startup to enter global markets, even if you want to do business in friendly countries. Let's work in that direction. The Moscow Export Center does it, right? They subsidize such export solutions, right? There's a problem with piloting. We have 2/3 of companies they're startups. They go to real business, real world, and workers say, "Well, why don't we pilot you at a particular company enterprise?" The plant says, "Yes, okay, let's do it." And the company says, "I'm going to install video cameras, let's say video analytics, and you'll be able to see, let's say, your defects or production waste or production defect. It's going to cost 3 million rubles." The pilot costs 3 million rubles, let's say. The company says, "Well, why do we have to pay you if your technology is not even operational? We don't know if it's going to work or not." Unfortunately, many projects end up failing at this stage. So small grants, let's say like the Skolkovo grants, for example, but the number of such grants across the country, I think it would make sense considering that number. And a few ideas. I think I ran out of time, but we'll have more time. We'll have I think we'll have a Q&A or a survey afterwards. Just give me a couple of minutes to wrap up so that I don't repeat myself. We have a people issue. Where do we get the people? Two sources. We train them, or we lure them in. So we should simplify it for hubs. So the with global cooperation, let's say, I think it's about migration policy. So many experts, I was surprised. My friend has people working for him from Iran and other countries. Why don't we lure in high-tech specialists from friendly countries? We have work and visa issues, so maybe for hubs we can simplify the visa procedures, because many such experts go to a particular project, a particular company, because they're interested in working, let's say, with an aerospace technology or space technology, let's say Roscosmos, etc. I think we could employ these people. We could lure them in. We could hire them. And so we need support measures. Collective use centers are yet another initiative for microelectronics, etc. Different various equipment. Skolkovo has a good example of this sort. I think we should extrapolate this. And yet the most important thing, I think, is the changes we see due to the AI development, evolution. The entire industries are being disrupted. So I think we should develop this because this will this will affect all the hubs in all of the areas. So by developing these competencies and retaining them, keeping them, not just keeping the people, but attracting, engaging people from elsewhere, I think we'll be able to create a strong and sovereign country. And in parallel, I think we should be open for collaboration, cooperation, i.e. Exchanges, etc. But I think it should be in parallel with creating our own competencies, because if we don't have such competencies, well, globally, we will not be competitive. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you, Renat. I put down some of your thoughts on paper. That's quite an interesting approach to the fact that we have to create our own hubs, highly focused, highly specialized hubs. Question is, some technologies, some developments will never be given to Russia, will never be sent to Russia. And we will have to either create them ourselves, and that will take time, some 15 years maybe, or maybe it will be possible in some cooperation regime to get access to these technologies on the global scale. We're not going to implement some junk ideas We're not going to create everything, code everything by ourselves. We don't have so many people. We don't have so much scientific resources. Therefore, I really liked some of the ideas that you pronounced, and the idea of building some cooperation with global technological hubs seemed to me quite prudent. We have to have a balance. We really have. Now I'm going to give the floor to our next speaker, Mr. Kuma Ali. What's your vision of global technological transfer? What problems you see, and how do you see your participation in this role in the global technological transfer?
Merci de m'avoir donné la parole. Je me nomme M. Ali Kouma. Je nomme M. Ali Kouma Mali, directeur général du transit transport logistique du Mali. Tout d'abord, je m'exprime sur l'opportunité que les pays africains peuvent l'avoir sur le transfert de données de technologie entre le monde et l'Afrique. Tout d'abord, l'Afrique est un continent très très riche et très très vaste, principalement au Mali. Est un continent excellente superficie d'environ 1 241 000 km². Elle partage à près 7 200 km² de frontières avec l'Algérie au nord, le Niger à l'est, le Burkina au sud, la Côte d'Ivoire et la Guinée au sud, et de la Mauritanie et du Sénégal au ouest. Sans aucun doute, la totalité de l'économie de notre pays est basée sur l'échange commercial entre les pays voisins. Le commerce n'est pas seul le secteur d'affaires tournant au Mali. Aux premières heures de l'indépendance, c'est-à-dire la création de petites industries de transformation comme Ecoma, le fruitement, l'usine de transformation des DA à 100, force avec la reconnaissance qu'avec le programme d'ajustement structurel of privatisation de l'FMI et de la Banque mondiale. Les opportunités d'affaires du Mali de nos jours est très vaste que la superficie totale même du Mali. Et cette opportunité existe dans beaucoup de domaines. Quand on parle du domaine de la logistique et des transports, actuellement, les réseaux recensés est de 18 000 km² des routes et des infrastructures. Tout routier sans les importations et les exportations les deviennent difficiles et de grandes. Quand on parle de l'agriculture et de l'élevage, au Mali, une superficie de 1 million de km², le Mali dispose 500 à 600 km d'infrastructures. Malgré les superficies déficit, les alimentaires peuvent importer les produits vivriers et pour subvenir aux besoins de la population. Redressement en réel, les opportunités place of production de transformation plus régulièrement et mise en place des industries de produits d'engrais par l'agriculteur. L'élevage des voyelles, cette plan d'expression de notre pays n'est suffisamment énorme dans son développement. Le domaine de la nouvelle technologie. Le Mali a forcément besoin des technologies du monde occidental, principalement en Afrique. Le Mali, qui ne débouche pas la mer, c'est un pays en développement sans littoral. Il dispose de 3 réseaux de communication téléphonique mobile, mais malheureusement n'arrive pas à fournir l'Internet comme il doit se faire le coût de qualité. Le domaine de l'électricité, le transfert de données entre l'électricité pour Mali. Mali se retourne vers la Russie pour résoudre ces problèmes de l'électricité. Le pays a plus besoin d'investisseurs privés pour accompagner l'État dans les politiques de fourniture d'électricité. Les opportunités existent non seulement dans le domaine de l'énergie thermique, de l'énergie hydraulique, de l'énergie hydroélectrique et de l'énergie solaire ou éolienne. Dans le domaine de la santé, le Mali couvre une porte pas un tiers du territoire contre faiblesse des moyens étatiques, d'où la nécessité d'implanter des petits matériels industrie privée. Aujourd'hui, l'Afrique a forcément besoin du monde entier pour se développer. L'Afrique est une terre très très vaste et très très grande, mais ça manque le développement et le transfert de technologies, de données pour le développement de l'Afrique. Bon, avec la nouvelle technologie du monde entier, vraiment l'Afrique a besoin de se développer dans les domaines de la logistique et l'exportation et l'importation et l'exportation des grands nourrices vers l'Afrique et dans le monde entier. Donc principalement, on a besoin aussi de rapidité des services bancaires pour transférer de l'argent de l'Afrique vers la Russie. C'est très difficile à transférer de l'argent. Donc vraiment, je veux remercier la Chambre de commerce de la Russie. Et puis, je remercie tous les interlocuteurs de m'avoir donné la parole à ce jour très, très important. Donc, je remercie le Forum Kazan 2024 d'être m'invité comme invité d'honneur du Mali. Donc, Mali, l'Afrique a forcément besoin de transfert de données de nouvelles technologies. Et puis, on a besoin aussi de l'interconnexion entre les pays africains et le monde, principalement la Russie, et ainsi de suite. Donc, vraiment, l'Afrique a un terre très vaste. Nous avons des terres, nous avons des mondes, des peuples, mais principalement, on n'a pas l'idée de transférer, de créer la créativité des produits industriels, la créativité des industries. Donc, on a besoin du monde entier pour nous soutenir à être développés dans tous les domaines. Donc, merci beaucoup pour votre aimable intention. Merci.
Спасибо большое, спасибо, что приехали на форум, рассказали о своей замечательной.
Thank you for your message about your country. It was very interesting. If you could please switch off the microphone. Thank you. We still have 10 minutes before the end of this session, and I would like to take this opportunity and make a blitz Q&A session about what we have said so far. I'm going to ask a very short question to each of the participants and give 1 minute per answer. What next steps should be taken by us to develop the transfer of technology and to include our ultimate goal, to perform our ultimate goal? What should we do here in Russia to develop the innovations, to develop the economy through innovations? And for the international community, exchange of technologies, exchange of ideas, and the different things that we can contribute to ensure a global development of technologies.
So I would like to ask Amar, let's see, what do you think? What steps do you think we should take? In a nutshell, please. I would point out 3 issues. I think we need to unify the ideas. We have to systematize and bring them to one of the same. These are the same processes. I think these are 5 business processes: innovative project, innovativeness, the cultivation, the gathering of the projects. Third is selection of the projects. We need to unify the scoring system, standardize the evaluation. We should should raise funding, and we should engage investment brokers, etc. And number 5, I think, project portfolio management. We should have systemic approach to acceleration, piloting, secondary market, exiting. So these baseline things, I believe, I think are being important because local communities in China, Russia, the Emirates are looking at the BRICS countries. I think with their actions, they do so, but the community, the horizontal community, I think should form their own baseline rules. It's clear. I think the idea is clear. Standardization. Number two, well, actually, even fewer than three. I think I have. I will not be original. I will not say anything new. I liked the points mentioned by my colleague from the Annapolis. First, you have to define the strategy, the strategic goal, who and what and for whom, who is the beneficiary. Number two, I think it's important to define the backbone cities where such clusters can be formed or established. Number three, objective is who's the target for how these products will be formed, and most important, how quickly will they be converted into let's say the viable products. That's clear. Anton, your proposals. I think I agree with my colleague Minneapolis. I represent IT, so I will say that I agree that IT solutions are one of the easiest, let's say, points, the low-hanging fruit, so to speak, in order to, in terms of say, exports, because they don't need logistics, and they're the easiest way, easiest method of transferring our technology under license to overseas stakeholders. Not just the Sber solution, of course, but I'm talking about various other IT companies that are already existing residents of hubs, and they can join us as well. Thank you. Anna Nikolaevna, your three takeaways. The key point is, after today's session, I think cooperation is the key word. Let's cooperate. I think the technology transfer for Russia has been successful. We have to cooperate and not just use the products developed by clusters, but also the best practices developed both in the technology transfer as well as just the best experience practices in technologies and innovations. Rinat, you're the generator of most of the proposals. People are referring to you already. They are quoting you, right? So actually, I'm happy that we're on the same. We're basically thinking the same thing. So I'm not object. I don't object. I'm not against global cooperation. I don't think we should do things internally. I am for creating our very own hubs, powerful hubs, and we will be interesting to other hubs if we are strong, if we are good. So where the government can help and your initiative can be beneficial when the government can support international cooperation of such hubs. Our companies can easily implement their projects in the UAE, for example. Our companies these are our companies, local companies, or their companies. Let's say UAE companies come to us and get engaged in the airspace, for example. But there are barriers to this. There are financial barriers, migration barriers, etc. I think this is where we can do more. Creating a hub there, for example, if it takes 10 or 15 years to develop a technology here, who says it's going to take less in the UAE, for example? Okay, maybe it's going to be 5 years. But, of course, there's a risk that things can change, regimes can change due to political reasons, for example. If it's a Russian situation, then it's a different story. We're going to keep it here in Russia. We're witnessing such cases, and remember when the Soviet Union collapsed and technologies were basically, well, not stolen, but taken away. So I believe you can laugh at it, but I think you should not remove the problem that industrial espionage is one thing that we should be also concerned about. So these technologies may take, let's say, not 10 to 15 years, but less, faster. Reverse engineering is yet another aspect where we look at a technology, we reverse engineer it. Rosatom does a lot. They've been able to substitute many, a great deal of Western technologies, which is a pressing issue for us. We should enhance and support reverse engineering centers. This is where we should allocate our funding to, and I think we're going to be fine.
Sure.
Thank you very much. Alikum, what is your proposal in terms of steps to for the development of international transfer of technologies?
The development Russian the speed of technology transfer between Bank Russia and Bank World. Donc, même si on a eu des partenaires russes, il y a des difficultés de transfert d'argent de la Russie et du monde entier. Donc, on demande vraiment à M. Lune pour la BRICS, pour la nouvelle monnaie mondiale que la Russie peut connecter avec le monde. Et puis, l'Afrique est une vaste réseau. Les transferts des journaux, non seulement ce n'est pas de l'exportation, mais aussi de l'installation des usines de transformation, des usines de fabrication, ainsi de suite. La terre est vaste. Donc, tout le développement peut faire en Afrique aussi. Et puis, avec la nouvelle réforme du monde, vraiment, on a besoin de la Russie pour nous développer, surtout en Afrique et le Mali. Merci.
К сожалению, не все нам перевели, переводчик. Да? Да, понятно. Спасибо большое. Я надеюсь, вы найдете на этом.
Hope you will be able to find some colleagues on the fields of this forum, and our colleagues will be able to help you to find the technologies connected with the processing and the export of silver. I hope that Azat Khalilevich could be one of the people to help you both in Russia and outside, and he will be able to help you with the with these technologies. So, summing up our event, what steps do you think could be the right ones to do? Oh, well, let me reformulate this question. What step we should perform to make this story, to make this fly? Well, I am building public organizations. I am building large public systems, and I love them work. What is a hub? I like this word. Hub is about cooperation. Hub is a managerial solution. Okay, so we have to make a hub here in this hall. Okay, Moscow has the tried and tested funnel of projects. Okay, Moscow can do that. We'll use that. Me, I can work with regional development. Then we have Chechnya, then we have Altai, Nizhny Novgorod, Tatarstan. Okay, here we have the basic regions on which to implement this. We have a colleague from Accelerator, from the Internet Initiative Development Fund, the training session. We have everything. Where do we land this? We have Atom, we have Innopolis. Somebody wants to go to Moscow, somebody wants to go to Kazan, somebody wants to go to the territories in Ural. Okay, so we have a closed loop cycle. But this is not gonna work because we don't have an end customer. This is the ultimate thing that we have to have about every basic idea. If you don't have a focus, if you don't have a person to whom you are going to direct all your efforts, jokes aside, but we have specialists in franchising, and he is able to package your projects and ideas and sell them worldwide. Pavel Abramovich started the Islamic finance in Russia, and we've got that leverage as well. Isn't that so? Yeah, transfer of finance is a cool thing. So you see that such potential things can happen in a variety of sites. Our potential is colossal. It's much bigger than an H-bomb. We will not be able to launch it, however, unless we have the end customer. I understand this is not the right term to use here. The right term is the subject for whom we are making all this. And as far as the support programs are concerned, okay, I've been 30 years in business, and I know about support programs. I am very cautious about targeted support programs. I am a believer in supporting the industries. Turkey is now #1 in selling flour for the famous French buns. How were they able to do that? They supported the Turkish government, donated money to the development of mills. They buy grain from Russia and make flour in Turkey. And this is how the entire industry grew up. The same thing we do with IT. Reduction of taxes, introduction of benefits in mortgage, etc., etc. As long as you have an internal customer or an external customer, then and only then you will be able to perform your transfer of technology. So that's it. How? Thank you, dear participants. Thank you, audience. We wish you a good day.